NBA.com. This is John's report is for the 23rd. Well, we had some excitement finally. The softness that we had really couldn't get MBI Magenta below the 25. And finally, just a brief little turnaround, and that was enough to accelerate it. And it was within the range that we'd been seeing. And then once it broke above that, we pushed all the way, well, now above that. If I move this out of the way for you, 4,008 range, just above it at 4,015 right now. We'll see if it's able to hold. Of course, it's holiday trade now, so we would expect things to be light and without much resistance. So potential for them to push a little further. We'll see. Everyone's headed off for a nice Thanksgiving. Things relatively tranquil. Similar reading here, same situation. The Nasdaq had already started up a little bit before the other day, and then has proceeded to continue with that move. A little spike up, and if the turn up of the red DOC could generate a really nice buy, that would be a P2 pivot higher setup from there, and that would propel us towards that 100% line, which that would be a significant move. Oil, obviously, taking a dump because, well, the EU finally decided that those arbitrary sanction numbers that they were going to buy oil at wasn't such a good idea after all. But needless to say, this is a huge help in the energy uh, situation, and any further breakdown would be uh, certainly welcome. You got MBI white leading here. A pivot lower of magenta would create a definite move back towards the zero line again. So again, white spike, and it didn't take a little over a week for it to get down to. It was just a matter of waiting for that magenta pivot, and then once it started, it just was count the days until it happens. It takes some patience because it's never one directional. It doesn't go instantly. Sometimes it does, but in general, there's some hiccups along the way. And the euro spiking on that because obviously, without the need to buy extra dollars for higher oil prices, it certainly makes the euro uh, less in a demand for selling and buying dollars, and things can get a little bit more normalized. So, if that continues and you move into the low 70s or whatever, I would see the euro probably back up in the 110, 113 range easily, because that would certainly remove one of the major catalysts, other than the fact the eurozone really isn't doing that well. But the major drain being the fact that they've had to uh, buy so many dollars for energy. And from a TLT standpoint, the expectation for rates continuing to fall. So that buy signal hasn't changed, and it keeps going. Um, MBI White not able to get over magenta at all, and then started its descent. 0.35. That is like nobody's shorting. They're just like completely in love with lower rates in treasuries. And gold, interestingly enough, despite that move, still holding on, and a little bit more of a spike up here, and magenta will be back over yellow, and that would be another buy setup as well, which would be interesting because then you'd have the broader market and uh, gold in tandem, really, with their readings and that. Bitcoin holds off from breaking that zero. It's still within its buy configuration, albeit extremely weak because we're still in a continuation from the lower move with orange not having dipped below. You still have green riding, and this is usually an accumulation build. So somebody's holding that up and potentially acquiring additional. Though, as we see with the FTX filings, there's going to be some additional sell pressure throughout a lot of cryptocurrencies. We don't know what assets they're saying they now have and how they're planning to liquidate them, but they are planning to liquidate in many cases. So, yeah, there's going to be some additional pain left, though they're finding a few more assets than they had before. So the buy setup turnaround here once the magenta got back over yellow, and it's been a clean ride on the 50K. And intraday was pretty boring. Literally, the range fit pretty close here within, just this one. So you can see the dramatically reduced volume, and our swings got lower. We were still between. I had these setups from way back all the way to the 92 is what we were talking about, and as low as 38. Came down close to it. What was the low? Like in the 40s, 45. And then we kept getting just pretty much weak white. We had one brief moment where there was a spike of white, but this on rising shakeout and uh, rising histogram. And when it did put in brief sell, it was just minute. And that's usually a warning that there's a lot more buy pressure taking place. We still ended up with a couple positive extremes in various locations, which take us exactly back to the same algo and a little bit lower, right in between the middle of it. That would be right in that 84 range, but we kind of filled it back with this little retraces. And so when it started setting up additional ones, they were all pretty close to the same area. And they just filled back when it's that tight. It's where you get these series of them where it starts to be more of a breakout, which was just above the 92 level. So, hope everyone has a great holiday. We will definitely play it out after Thanksgiving, see how it works. But for now, things are rosy, and looks like the holiday rally could be a solid potential. As always, trade well. We'll talk in later.